Good day everyone, how are you all doing? This is Yix here at Magna Crypto, back again with another video. So in today's video we're going to do, as per usual, the end of week market breakdown to look at the price data just before the week closes. Always important to look at weekly candlesticks because there's more accuracy within it, because there's more data in it, simply put. So without further ado, let's get straight into this market breakdown. We've got about 6-7 coins to cover, including a member's request. So let's get to it. Before we get started, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. I would very much appreciate that. And also, if you're a beginner to crypto and you would like to learn the fundamentals so you can get started in the market straight away, made a free course, link for that is in the description. And also I've got a private members Telegram group where I give my more regular insight, a lot of technical analysis and chart work, and I put a good amount of value in there. So without further ado, let's get started. Firstly, let's get started with Bitcoin, obviously the leader of the market. So for most of this week, we actually were quite low down, twice I think we touched the 17,600 level, and the lowest point we got to was 17,569. Since then we've recovered. If we look at the daily, you can see that more clearly. We have recovered from that low point, and now in the last 2 days we've actually gone past this counter trend line, which is quite positive to see on the daily time frame, because for a while it was looking like we were going to correct more. As you can see, this kind of bouncing in the down direction, it was looking like we were going to go further down to about 16,000. However, on the weekly, this candlestick structure is a little bit worrying. So this candlestick structure, for a while it was looking like it was going to be a hanging man, which is, as you can see, a bearish candlestick pattern. However, if it finishes above this closure, if it actually goes above this level, that would be more of a positive indication. However, if you look at this, right, so candlestick structures are very important to look at. If it ends up closing above or just neutral, it will be more of a neutral candlestick pattern. So it could either be a spinning top or a doji. So this could indicate that basically it's quite uncertain which direction we're going to go. We could go bearish or we could go bullish to the upside. So this is a very it's quite indecisive where it wants to go at the moment. However, we look at the volume has been decreasing ever so slightly, actually a bit more aggressively in the last few weeks. So this does not go in the favor of an upwards explosion right now anyway, and that's what the volume tells us. And it's the same for the total market cap, although it's much more clearer that this is a hanging man. As you can see, it does copy this structure quite well. You can see obviously the bullish candlesticks, the explosions to the upside, and then you have this hanging man, which is indicated here perfectly as it's more of a bearish structure. But obviously bear in mind, these are not 100% guaranteed, but with probability it's likely that this will be a bearish indication. So we could be correcting a little bit more in the next couple of weeks. We'll have to see as time goes on. Moving over to XRP. XRP is quite we had a huge sell-off in the last week with a lot of volume. It seems that a lot of people wanted to cash out after this obviously explosion to the upside, so people want to cash out their chips. But it's interesting, as we just had the Spark token snapshot. So the Flare network took their snapshot of the XRP ledger to see what, how much XRP everyone had. And so it's interesting that we had a massive sell-off nonetheless. But the positive sign is the zone that I drew out here. It has picked up a little bit of liquidity. It seems that at this level, people think XRP is actually at a good price. So there is still a bit of positive sentiment in the XRP market. So this is looking good. If we can close here for the week, and then next week, if we see a turnaround into the green for XRP, then that would be a very good bottoming out. So next week will be very important to see, because if we can close above this and then go back up, then again that will be new support, and that's a very positive thing to see for XRP. So now let's have a look at ADA. This was a member's request. So ADA, aka Cardano, to be honest, obviously the price closed above this very crucial resistance level, which was also support. It's now tapped it again. However, the fact that these wicks keep going lower and lower, in my opinion, is not a bullish indication. It's more of a bearish indication that sellers or buyers do not want to pay a higher price. They want to pay a lower price as time goes on, and sellers are accepting this. They are giving away their ADA at low prices. So for me, this looks like a more of a bearish indication, and we may potentially go lower to either the mid 12 cents or even lower. If it actually breaks down to the downside properly, it may even go to 9 or 10 cents. So at the moment it's still safe, but it's looking like it wants to go down. However, obviously, as I always say, this is not a guarantee. We'll have to see as time goes on. It may end up turning around. If we start to see price action in the opposite direction, then that'll be and then we see actual daily closures, then that'll be a bullish sign. As you can see here on the daily, it went below that crucial level twice. It tried to go back above, it failed. It's tried to go back above now, and now it's broken past that trend line. So on the daily, it's more of a bullish case that it's able to go back above, but it's only done that by a little bit. We need to see some more stronger closure, and then also we need to see a higher low formed, then we'll be more bullish. Let's move on to Ethereum. So Ethereum, similar situation as Bitcoin and the total market. We have that structure. Let's move my face. We have the hanging man structure in there again. So clear candlestick right there. So this is indicating that it's a bearish structure, that we may see some further correction, potentially down to the next major level, 486, give or take. If we move to the daily, what can we see? Similar to ADA, we can see that we keep kind of bouncing to lower direction. However, now you can see that it's broken a short-term trend line, so potentially we could start seeing a reversal back to the upside. However, the main thing is to see something like this, which is obviously higher lows formed. So we need to see more higher lows, and actually when I look at this a bit more closely, potentially it could be forming an ascending triangle. So you can see two higher lows here. We need to see some more, and then you have this resistance level over here. So although on the weekly it looks like a hanging man, which is a bearish candlestick, on the daily actually looks like potentially it's forming an ascending triangle. We will have to see as time goes on, as I always say, but this actually, it's a bit more mixed to which direction it's going when you look at the two time frames. So we'll have to see again as time goes on. But you can see clearly that on the weekly, this is forming a hanging man. So it's very interesting to see. I mean, I'm not selling, so either way, for me, in my opinion, it's a win-win. Either we correct and I pick up some more ETH, or we go to the upside and there's more gains in store. So moving on to Link. So Link, as mentioned in my private Telegram group, this trend line is very important. It's been touched several times. The fact that it's been touched so many times for me was a bit concerning, especially when you see the candlesticks moving in a downwards direction. Now it's getting weaker as time goes on. So if we keep closing lower and lower, this is most definitely gonna break. Firstly, we're probably gonna go to $10.70, you can see here, and then lower to about $9.50. So it's a bit worrying. Obviously, as well, it got rejected from a major resistance level or support, which now became resistance. So again, it's moving towards the downside, towards the bearish side. Unless we see a major bounce once we get closer to this, or potentially if we find more liquidity in this area, that could also be the case. We will have to see, but my verdict, in my opinion, is it's looking more bearish rather than bullish. So that's a Link. Let's move over to one of our personal favorites, which is Ocean. So as mentioned, Ocean was looking more bearish as time was going on, and now we have touched the 38 cents level, which is a key level, as you can see here. 2 weeks as well. This is quite an important level, and on the one hand, it's bearish the fact that the candle has closed on that level, but of course, on the other hand, it's now used as support, which is good. But this is more likely that will break to the downside towards either 34 cents or towards 30 cents and a half. So next week again is very crucial for Ocean to see a turnaround. Now if we move to the daily time frame, you can actually see that it's used this zone as support, and it's also picked up some liquidity, and it looks like it's moving in the opposite direction. It looks like it's found a bottom here and it's going back up. So the next thing on the daily to see is for us to actually break above that 42 cent level and then use it as support. But for the moment as well, you can see that there is actually a counter trend line in play, and it will have to break this to get back to the upside. So it's looking more bearish in my opinion than bullish until we start breaking these levels and forming, firstly obviously to confirm the swing low, but then to form higher lows as time goes on. So it's, as I said, it's looking more on the bearish side than the bullish side, unfortunately, but as always, the long term it's going to do well. Let's move over to KAVA. So KAVA, out of all the coins that I've covered so far, KAVA actually looks the most bullish in the short term anyway. Not massively bullish, but more bullish than the other coins. As you can see, this crucial resistance level, it picked up liquidity with one massive spike, and now it's turned around. It's created a bottom on the weekly as well. Of course, that's always more important to do on the weekly. It's more accurate. And now it's looking like it wants to form another low. So if we turn around, if we break past this counter trend line and go to the upside and close for the next week or the next few weeks, of course, then that will be the next low formed. So that's what I'm looking for at the moment, for it to break past this trend line and for it to form another higher low. And then next would be to break this this high structure that's formed now, this resistance level. Sorry, my apologies. If we actually put a trend line or a Fibonacci sequence here, what can we actually see where we are? Okay, that's completely invalidated. As you can see, this wick completely destroyed anything in there, so we can delete that. But yeah, so the main thing I'm looking for is next to break past this trend line and to form a higher low. Can we see anything further on the daily? On the daily again, you can see that it picked up a lot of liquidity here. It turned around very nicely. So you can see as well, there is maybe not that trend line, but you can see over here that there is a trend line, or a counter trend line, sorry, that it needs to break past. So it's just touched that now, actually, and it needs to break this obviously to form that higher low. But to be honest, on the daily, it doesn't look as bullish as on the weekly. So it's very important that we break past this counter trend line and form that higher low. And potentially looks like the liquidity that's picked up might be running out actually. Again, we've obviously been in this area quite a few times, touched it, picked up some liquidity, and now we're back below. So it may actually go to the downside to pick up some more liquidity, some more buy orders to go back to the upside. So on the daily, it looks a bit more mixed than on the weekly. So potentially it may break to the downside to pick up some more orders to rocket back up. So we'll have to see. On the weekly, it looks more bullish in my opinion, but on the daily it looks a bit more mixed. So we will have to see. Moving on to Band protocol. So Band, as mentioned in my private Telegram group, was forming a head and shoulder pattern. It looked like it was invalidating this because for this week it was going to the downside. It's now recovered quite well. If we move to a line graph, it's, as I said, it was invalidating the structure as time was going on. However, there's still time for it to recover and break above the neckline. So it's not a perfect right shoulder, but there's still time for it to kind of go back to the upside. If we, couple that with the fact that it's coming out with a lot of positive news, it's formed a partnership with Phantom, launches liquid staking and synthetic assets secured by Band protocol, and it gives a lot more information about that. So Band keeps producing more partnerships, as well, with supported on the secret network Ethereum bridge, which will be launched soon. There you go again. It's formed partnership with Mirror. So there's a lot of good news surrounding Band, which could be a catalyst to break Band to the upside. So although the week was finishing a bit in the red, there's still time to complete this reversal. Last but not least, let's have a look at polkadot. So polkadot is still in this structure, this large triangle formation with this massive kind of rounding cup. I drew a Fibonacci sequence from the bottom here to the top of this structure, and it hasn't even crossed the 50% range. Even the wick has just gone shy of the 786 level. So it's still above the midpoint of this structure, which in my opinion is still good. Obviously, we've had 3 weeks of red candles, but I think there's still time for us to turn around, and it will at some point. I'm actually not that worried looking at this structure, and also once we kind of break out of this structure, I think there's going to be a massive moves to the upside, as you can see, potentially to the 786 at $6. So I'm actually not that worried about Polkadot looking at this. It still looks good in my opinion, short term, medium and long term. If we close below this 50% level, then I think we'll probably be revisiting that lower $4.11. However, if we turn around from this level and break above, then definitely we'll revisit the $5, $6 level, and then to potentially retest the kind of highs of $6.80. So yeah, Polkadot, in my opinion, looks pretty good, especially long term. So that'll be it for this market breakdown. I hope you got some value from that, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.